Hello, everyone. This is the first ever episode of Silkroad Podcast. And the place which we're shooting from is Silkroad Innovation Hub. Silkroad Innovation Hub is a hub and a platform for founders from Central Eurasia, the countries which we represent and work with the founders from are Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Mongolia, and Turkey. So we work with great founders from those countries. And my name is Asror Arabjanov. I'm a host of Silkroad Podcast. And one of the great founders from those countries, specifically Turkey, is here with us, Mr. Mustafa Sakalsiz. Mr. Mustafa is a founder and CEO of Peaka. Welcome, Mr. Mustafa, first of all.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
We are sitting with you in Palo Alto, Silicon Valley, with a great history. The building itself, which we're sitting on, has a great history. The building is the first ever office of the great company called Robinhood. And it is also the first office of Per VC, founded by Pejman Nozad and Mar Hershenson, one of the greatest early stage funds in Silicon Valley. The place has a history. The Bay Area is obviously a leading place to be, especially for software developers, if you're doing your startup in software. And what brought you to Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so actually the ambitions, I can clearly say. So as a founder, so you already just told me about that. I am the CEO and the founder of Peaka, but Peaka is my fourth startup. So more than 20 years ago, I just built my first company just after the graduation from the university. So it was the first SaaS company in Turkey, and now it's a very big company also. And then after I just created a consulting company. I had very big customers here in US, Europe, Fortune 500 customers, also very big companies from Turkey as well. And also I went through YC in my third company. Unfortunately, it didn't go very well, but now I'm building my fourth startup. So actually what I want to do with Peaka is just do something big and create an inspiration from other entrepreneurs in my country.
Thank you so much for this. Can we put the names for the companies which you have mentioned? So the company which you worked on before, which became one of the biggest software companies in Turkey, is
Dia.
Dia.
Yeah.
What did the company do, and what was it about?
Yeah, so back in that time, so there was no broadband internet in Turkey, so we had only dial-up internet. So in some of the big companies, I saw the SAP. You know, SAP is a very big ERP company.
Yes.
In the world, and I was actually very interested about its technology and what it's doing, and people are using very much and they're paying too much. And I was also aware of the other software, business software in the Turkey, and I just thought that I think there is something missing in our country, so we don't have such a great software, and people are paying too much for this one. And I wanted to create a smaller version of it, but you can just use it from the internet. So actually, buying SAP, or even the installation was very hard. So I just wanted to create a smaller version for small businesses, but it can be used online. But also because at that time many business software was DOS based, maybe you know, very text based software. So we started building it. One of my classmates and other people that I know, we were for people. So we started building it. Then the broadband internet came.
Yeah, finally.
Then the cloud came. So initially it was very hard, and we didn't get any venture fund for that. It was totally bootstrap. So
Okay.
it took a while.
Okay, that's great. I remember the dial-up periods, like when you had to connect to your phone. But like, and I also know something about like how difficult and how financially, like fiscally and time-wise, and it's difficult to onboard a client in SAP, like SAP. It's
Yes.
really difficult.
Yes.
And you built a cloud-native version of SAP, which was from users' perspective to easier to use,
Yeah.
and it became a hit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So initially, people were not, for example, keen to use something from internet because they didn't get used to. But eventually, they just realized that it's a good thing. And our initial target market was companies who have many offices in different places.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our initial market because there was no solution for them.
Okay.
But we are just creating a really quick solution for them, and yeah, and also it was very easy to set up. So you just sign up and just start using immediately.
Okay. Can you tell me who was your client back then? Like,
Yeah, small medium businesses. So I think they have now 12,000 customers.
right now 12,000.
Yeah.
And like, can you tell me about the what situation now? Have you exited? Have you retained your share and you still continue to be the owner of the company, or?
Yeah, so when I exited, so we had 2,000 so it was just growing. So I did all the hard part in that company. And yeah, I was so bored about the technology that we were developing. So after some time, it just became just developing a new screen, a new business module in this. So it was not very interesting for me because at the time I was very young. So I just wanted to learn more about the technology and do some bigger stuff. So yeah, we didn't sell the company, so this is still a bootstrap company, and still my co-founders actually operate the company. So I sold my shares to them, so they give me some money, and just I made an exit from that company.
From your co-founders themselves, they bought your shares out,
Yeah.
and they continued the business.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good exit story. Can you tell me about, like, you mentioned that you couldn't raise any venture money at that time. Can you tell me about the venture and the startup ecosystem back in when you were building the company, like 2004, 2010, right? Can you tell me about the venture ecosystem? Like, how was it? Did it help? And were you maybe better off because the venture and startup ecosystem wasn't that developed, that you built like this sustainable company, profitable from the get-go?
Yeah, back in 2004, so that's the year just actually we built the company. So there was no venture funding opportunities. And so the government was working on some regulations because there was some venture money around, but they were not like here. So they
Okay.
were not like in the Silicon Valley. So they were taking most of the company. They were trying to controlling everything. So it was not founder friendly, and the mindset was very different. So that's why the government was trying to regulate the market. So they just actually created some laws, and they also created some funds which were also government backed. So, but we didn't have used those funds. So, but we used some grants from the government. So at the time, government was also providing office spaces.
Okay.
And also tax exceptions for the companies. So we use that opportunities. And actually, at the time, the Technopark in Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
so was very new also. So they were just becoming a common thing in the country. It was the early days of that time, and so we were in an incubation center in that park. So it also helped us. For example, we were not giving any rent, and we were not paying tax, so it also helped. But most of the time, we were doing some other consulting things in parallel to bring cash to the company. to actually survive as people.
Yeah, like one of the stories goes about like the Airbnb founders that like Paul Graham himself wasn't like really impressed with the business model or whatever the guys were doing, but he was really impressed on how the guys did what they could in order to stay afloat. They were selling this like the cereal, the Obama O's or something, and he said, "You guys are like cockroaches, like they gonna kill." That's what I really wanted to know. Maybe that made you stronger, if not like obviously it didn't help that there weren't like a venture funding, but the idea of like you going out there and having to become profitable, do you think like looking back, was it better for you, or do you think you could have done much more and expanded quickly if you had the venture financing, venture backing?
Yeah, I think the venture funding couldn't help to us because we didn't know what to do. So we were, yeah, we were just living in the same house.
Okay.
So sleeping, then waking up, coding, then sleeping, waking up and coding. So it was like that at the first year. And second year, so we started to deploy the system to some customers. So we started to get feedback and learn that okay, what we are doing and what we should be doing in the product. So if we had money, we didn't know how to spend it. So it will be easier for us to survive and make them. But I think it wouldn't help the company.
Okay. Let's move on to your next venture.
T2?
Yeah.
Yeah, T2 was very exciting company. So it is still operating, by the way. So the thing that in T2 was, so we had a very good, high qualified people in the same company. So it was a consulting company, so the cash flow was easier. So you don't need to sell the product, so you can just sell the service and get more money in the beginning. So it's easier to create a cash flow with consulting company. You cannot go very big, but you can just manage cash flow easily at the beginnings. So I hired a very good team. So we were two co-founders, and so we were mostly just looking at the Silicon Valley companies, and so we wanted to create a culture that very good people will just be here, and we were going to solve very big problems of big companies. So we were very successful. We didn't have any marketing team. We didn't have any sales marketing team, but we had lots of jobs.
Okay.
Because we were always creating stories from failed projects. That was our business model. So we were just looking for project that we can make the biggest contrast effect in the customers. So we usually go with the big budget but failed projects. So we were saving those projects with a very high qualified team, and we were creating a very big success stories in big companies. So everybody was coming to us.
So there were two phases for the T2, right? There was a consulting phase and there was a software phase, or how did it happen?
So yeah, actually it was always a software company. So the projects that we were saving always were software projects with a high talented team. But we eventually got many customers from all finance, defense, Fortune 500, and Europe's biggest clients. So we had many customers, and so we grew. But after some time, it became so hard to manage that big company, especially a consulting company. And then we said, okay, I think we should now create some products. Because we have many talents, we have the resources. So we actually started to create products in the company. So one of them became successful, and we spin out that company, and we went through YC with that company.
Okay. I think that would be the situation for many of the tech talent back home also. Like there are great teams doing some outsourcing for companies that are doing their projects, and at certain point they realize that some of the products they've done is a great product, and they might actually go with it to create this unicorn story,
Mhm.
right? Can you like elaborate on the process of like making, yes, this is a great product, I'm gonna go with the product, like from the perspective of like equity split, from the
Mhm.
perspective of like how do you bring it to the market, how do you make sure that your main activity, which is like the consulting work and this work does not stop you from doing whatever this is, because like when you are saying, going out and saying, yes, this is my startup, and you start raising venture funding and you go to YC, they want your full attention on the company, right? So how does this happen? Like this is really interesting.
Yeah, so I can tell so much things about it because I tried many things. For example, creating many products and trying to spin out doesn't work because you may find a very good idea, you may actually develop a very good product, but becoming a startup or becoming or scale up is something you need to just put more effort on it by yourself as a founder. So that's what makes the company successful. If you're in a consulting company, if you're already busy with this, and if you just create some products as a side project, usually that doesn't work most of the time. And so we had many failed projects, although they were technologically very advanced projects with very advanced teams. We couldn't have success because every product has its own market, its own target, and usually the initial idea doesn't work. So you need to iterate and you need to just make your full attention on the product and the company. So if you're already managing another company, it is impossible. So that's why I left the consulting company.
And you concentrate
Yeah.
on T2 as a startup, right?
Yeah, but I also tried other things. So I also tried making the employees as founders
Okay.
for the new project and finance them. That didn't also work. So because not everybody is not a founder. So it's a very different mindset, very different. So you need to have a passion to that.
Okay.
You need to be determined to do that. But if you just give your say, okay, this is a good opportunity, if you just convince them, but if they are not on that, so it doesn't work either.
So yeah, there's founder mentality. They should be
Yeah.
ready, you know?
Yeah, they should have a, maybe it doesn't mean that they're not skilled for that, but they don't have enough interest.
Let's move on to what you're currently building, which has gained lots of interest. I think I've signed up for newsletters and I receive from Peaka some newsletters and updates. It is really interesting. Tell us a little bit about Peaka. What is it?
Yeah, so in Peaka, actually, it's a data integration platform. So we integrate all the data sources such as databases, NoSQL DBs, SaaS tools, and APIs, and make you a single data source immediately. So this is something already done, being done here in the industry by just creating data pipelines and a data warehouse. But it is a very, very costly operation and time-consuming operation. So you extract all the information from data sources, move it to and put it into a data warehouse, and you need that data team for that. So what we are doing in Peaka, we just do it in a minute.
Okay.
So it is mostly like, so the current data space is like, for example, think about the data as humans. So you want to talk with the humans, you want to get information from the humans. So if your information is distributed across many people, so what you do, you actually just bring all the people into a meeting room and ask the questions, right? So what we are doing in Peaka, we are not bringing people into the same room physically, but we are creating a Zoom meeting. So that's how we make it immediately. So instead of bringing and copying data, we just connect it and create a virtual data warehouse for you immediately, but you can still query as you can do in a data warehouse. So that's why it is so easy and convenient. Nowadays, everybody is using many SaaS tools. They have many databases and many systems. So everybody needs data consolidation and everybody wants to be data driven. So Peaka actually provides this is the most easiest and convenient way of doing that.
Can we talk a little bit like who are your clients? Like who is your ideal client at this stage? Like who would be using your product?
So we have so many use cases, and but I can say that our best clients are the companies at usually Series A level or approaching Series A level, and who are building their first data stack.
Mm.
So for them, it is an unknown operation. They don't have a data team, but their data is in many places. So they are trying to find a solution for that. So if we can reach them at the right time, so we can easily convince them and sell. We can just integrate all their data sources in the demo, and they can start using the product immediately. Okay. Otherwise, it will take for them 6 months and lots of money.
So like your clients now are the ones who just integrating, who are at the stage of realizing that they need the service.
Yeah, it's the easiest clients for us.
Okay.
But if they already invested in data warehouses, ETL pipelines, and the data team, it is sometimes late for us because they already poured so much money on that. It's very hard to convince them to just drop everything and do other things. So we have a gap from Series A to become an enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
In that gap, it's harder for us to sell the product because they already have a data stack and team. And so if we just put Peaka as a tool on the team, then we are actually removing all the playground of data engineers. So and they don't want to do that. But if they become an enterprise, they are actually also facing the disjoint data problems because now they have many data warehouses, now they have more data sources internally.
Yep.
So now they also need Peaka now because they have other type of data sources, data warehouses, and many data warehouses now, and many departments. So it's becoming a very big audience. So we can sell to startups who are building their first data stack. Also, we can sell big enterprises.
Okay, that is really good to hear because like that's the most difficult part when being a co-founder of a software company myself. That one of the hardest things we realized that it was really difficult to convince. Like those are different clients, like different level clients. Like the system is a TMS system, tracking management system, and it's difficult to convince if the company is not already using some sort of a software. It's really difficult to convince them to start using a software. But another difficulty starts when the company is already using some sort of software. It's really difficult to convince them to change the software. It's like the difficulty of that thing. So you have a sweet spot of entering like this gap period where you can convince your client that they need your product because they have already they already realized that they need the solution, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, most of the time they even cannot get the revenue reports. For example, revenue reports. So there are many revenue reports, so you can just get your revenue. But if you want to break it down, such as country-based, customer segment-based, and other things, then you need a more advanced reporting stuff. So you need to write some SQL queries and other things. Even getting a revenue report is becoming very challenging for those companies. So we usually see that in our first customers, our main actually users are product managers because they need the product data and even the basic product data and other things. And next, also the most common thing is the revenue breakdown revenue reports. For example, country-based MRR is a very easy report, but most of the companies actually don't have it. So sometimes they need to just learn their worst or best customers. So for example, then they need to integrate CRM, Stripe, Zendesk, and maybe some product metrics. So they want to understand, okay, who's creating the most ticket but paying the least, or who's paying the most but don't actually create any tickets, or do they have any engagements in the product. So you need to just learn those kind of things in your product, and you want to relate it with other things so you can better understand your customer and other things. Then yeah, Peaka is a very great solution. So you can integrate all these kind of data sources in a minute, and you can write queries directly.
Okay, this is great. And can you share some information that obviously which you feel comfortable with? Like you've been working on the company for 3 years now, right? On Peaka.
Yes.
And what are the some results which you can share with us, like the client wise, the revenue wise, or some investments, notable investments you've attracted, or like have you attracted venture financing?
Yeah, so we raised 2 million
$2 million.
so far, but yeah, we are very efficient in operating the company, and also we have a team in Turkey. So I can say we are approaching Series A level probably in the summer. But yeah, we launched the product in the last year summer. In 6 months, I think we had a very good traction for that. By the way, Peaka is not the initial product of this company. So we initially started as a no-code platform.
Okay.
So we just invested the first year with developing the no-code platform. So we had many customers and users in that platform, but we were also facing lots of churn in the platform, and then we realized that who's not churning, and we realized that the customers who integrated more data
Mm-hmm.
into their app are not churning, but people who only, and they were not actually needing all the parts of our no-code tools, so they were just building very similar apps, mostly some internal tools, but they were integrating lots of data, so they were not churning, and they were actually, if we would ask them, they would also pay more for the platform. So we say, okay, I think we should just serve this kind of people.
That was a light bulb moment for you.
Yeah, so how can we better serve? So I think we need to just have more integrations. We need to make this integration layer much easier for everyone, so they can integrate almost anything to the platform and then build their tools. And then we started developing a new data integration layer. So that's what I told you. And technically, we call it federated query over with data virtualization. So this is the technical explanation of the technology. Then we develop the data layer, and then we realize that, okay, I think what we built is not exist on the market. So and the industry needs it. So we should double down on the data platform and just lead the no-code platform. So that's what we did. So we converted everything, and now it's a complete data platform, and we released it in the last summer. So now we see a much better traction and interest from the industry.
That's great to hear. Like you mentioned about the efficiency of like when using the funds, we have raised not that big amount, but we're really efficient, and we have the team for Turkey. Now everybody's talking about like how AI and co-pilots and stuff are making people more efficient, and that makes like if people would raise certain amount of money, and that would, the runway would be certain period, now the runway should increase because the developers are more efficient with all the tools available. But you were efficient from the get-go because your team was located in Turkey, and you could hire like 2 or 3 developers instead of an engineer, which you would hire in Silicon Valley. Like, can you tell me from this perspective, like how difficult is it to keep the team in Turkey, and like you being here and the management being scattered? And let's talk about efficiency from this perspective. Yeah.
So yeah, from my perspective, so it was easy for me because I already had a very long history in Turkey in the developer community, so I had many friends. So I didn't just build a team from scratch. So I just invited my friends that I know very well. So it was very easy. So and and all the team is senior. So because it's a very technically hard product, so we had very good deep technical knowledge on the space. So building the team was very easy, but managing from here is a kind of hard because of the time difference. It's almost 11 hours, so it's like a flip of the day. But they are experienced, and we already have they are friend and also good friends, and they know how to operate. So they are like safe operating team mostly. So that's why I can just do the sales and other things in here completely. It can also be async. Yeah, I also meet them at my midnights as well. Yeah, from the efficiency perspective, actually, I think the Copilot cannot help so much, especially if you are a very small team.
Yep.
And if your team is very experienced, so the efficiency that Copilot will bring will be very minor. But if you have a very big team, lots of junior developers and other things, then the Copilot will bring more efficiency to your team. From my experience, I also still write code sometimes. So I enjoy doing it because I'm writing code since I was 10, and with my age, it is not very usual. I also use Copilot, but I only use it, for example, if I doing something that I am not very comfortable. For example, if I writing using a programming language that I don't know very well, or doing something that using a technology or library that I am not very familiar, Copilot really helps. So I use more Copilot for that. But if it is an experience that something I am experienced, I don't want to use Copilot. So it is like a distraction for me. So I usually close it or suspend it when I'm writing that I know very well. So I see the same pattern in my developers as well. So we have also Copilot, everybody, and we were one of the early adopters of Copilot. So we were using since it was been beta. So it's a very good tool, by the way. If you want to play it, it's a very nice tool, but it also helps. But it doesn't create so much efficiency in experience and small teams.
So the efficiency which you had from the get-go, your team being like a group of seniors, which you could obviously afford and with the Turkey levels, is much like gave you advantage than whatever tools are available right now, right?
Yeah, actually the people, as you said, they are senior, and they also know each other very well. So if you just bring too many senior peoples, they might not work, because software engineers have egos also. So because they were successful people since high school, or so they have very big ego. So actually building team from senior developers or architect people is not easy. So you need to have a culture for that. So for example, you need to have a culture to request help from other people. You need to have a culture not to blame anybody. You need to have a culture of getting feedback and not to be insulted about it. So if you have those kind of things, then you can build a whole senior team. Otherwise, it's very hard. So I picked these people from these perspectives and built a team. And also, developers don't work remote in our company. So they always come to office.
So you have to bring them in one place. So
So for example, so we have a very complex product. So many modules integrated with each other very tightly, and they just talk every day, so regularly in the office. So okay, I'm sending this one and you get it, so let's change this one. So we couldn't do it on a meeting. So that's why it's just we iterate very fast. If you have a senior projects, they already had mistakes in their previous projects and other things. So we also discuss those kind of things
Okay.
very well.
Okay. Before we talk a little bit about the internal culture, can you like give me a ballpark of like comparison of entry level salary in the United States and compared to like entry level, or let's compare like average figures, like how efficient, how many people you could hire, or
Yeah,
like the
1/4 of US.
1/4 of whatever you can get in US.
Yeah, 1/4.
And because you have the experience in Turkey, like you already know everyone and they know you, you are much more likely to gather the best people, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't hire. So for example, we invest 2 million and we will just spend them in a year if we were built that team over here. So
Much faster.
yeah, much faster. But yeah, we still have money and we are still operating in the company now. Yeah, we are also approaching the profitability, but yeah, but we wouldn't do it if we couldn't just build a team in Turkey.
Would some of your developers someday consider coming to United States, or is it like a too bad of a deal to leave all the delicious Turkish food?
Yeah, some of them want to come. So yeah, we will just look for those opportunities if they want to come. Yeah, they have right to come.
Great. And like from the day-to-day management perspective, now you said you are involved with the sales and business development and whatever the management tasks are here in the United States. And what's the day-to-day management of all the developers look like? Do you have a CDO in your company, or do you have like who are your co-founders?
Yeah, I am a solo founder. We have a CTO. Yeah, over there, and so we have a daily meeting. Join that meeting every midnight. And so nowadays the product is mostly its roadmap is mostly clear. So what we are going to do is mostly clear. In the first year it wasn't like that. So I was mostly in Turkey because of that, because I am also technical people, and so I was with the team and discussing the things and also trying to shape the product according to the market needs as well. But nowadays the product manager, the technical, they know what they want, what we need, and what they are actually implementing, what is need to be in the product. But if it is a very early phase, it will be very hard. So if you want to get involved with the product very much, it really helps to just sit next to your team members. But nowadays it is, yeah, I think nowadays we don't need to develop product too much. So it's more like fine tuning on the product. So now we need more sales and customers.
I'm trying to understand from the perspective of like a US investor investing in a Turkish founder who has the roots, like he has everything, like he has all the Delaware C Corps and everything established here, the management is here, whatever, but his client base is in the United States, but the roots of the company is from Turkey. Like, what are the motives for the investor to invest in the company other than like this is a great company, the founders are great, we're gonna invest in them? But like if they had this like similar founders with the similar product who are building in the United States, more to the team, like I want to understand like what are the motives from the like the company being efficient, first of all, the cost for the developers, and like what are some benefits which make you keep your team in Turkey, which is like from the tax perspective, from like you mentioned some grants and the government's providing certain buildings, like the office spaces to help the ecosystem, since we know like there are many unicorns coming out of Turkey, right? And they most of them keep their teams in Turkey too. And can you tell me a little bit about like what makes Turkey a great place to keep your teams?
Yeah, cost is also a great, significant thing about it, but it's not always the cost. So, for example, in my company T2, most of their alumni now work in US,
Mm-hmm.
for Amazon, Apple, Google, and other things. So now that means that okay, we had the talent in Turkey, and they are reachable.
Okay.
So I think the most important thing for me was to access the talent, the best talent for me. So you can also have talent here, but for example, you can only get most junior people over here. Otherwise, you need to make those people a co-founder to your company. Other than that, they wouldn't just let their jobs in Google or Amazon and come to your company.
Yep.
If you are not compensating their, even if you compensate their salary, they wouldn't come.
Yep.
But in Turkey, there are very good talents, and for example, our company just sits in the middle of best technical universities of Turkey.
What are the universities?
So we call it Bilkent, METÜ and Hacettepe.
Oh yeah.
So they are next to each other. So the three universities, and we are just in the center of all of them. So it's very much easier for us
Yep.
to access the best talent. And so the main part of building the team in Turkey is to access the talent, because we are developing a very technical product. And so I need those people, and it's the only way to do that with that money I have was in Turkey. And also maybe if I had the money, for example, I would still build it in Turkey, because I need those people. I know how to manage. I know how to work with them, and I would still build the team in Turkey.
Yeah, this is great. Like it's not only the price and everything; it's the quality of the people. Like you have the best technical universities. Yesterday, I was talking with Asset, my co-founder, and he was telling me somewhere around like 2 million STEM degrees are received every year in Turkey. Something like the figures, like it was really surprising. Like there was huge number of like technical degrees being received like every year.
Yeah, I don't know all the numbers. Yeah, I have only tens of. I only need tens of them, but
Yeah, you only need like 10 or 20 or
yeah,
100 at certain level.
the quality is important for me, because the output is much higher with quality people or senior people. So since I had an experience with just actually creating a consulting company and a product company before that for
Mhm.
long years, I have seen all the differences that with great achievers in the
Yep.
company actually make 20x more progress in output. Sometimes the average people don't even create the output. If it is a challenging area in the software space, sometimes everyone don't even give an output. Not all the actually software is complicated. Not all the products are complicated. So you don't need those kind of things. But for our case, we needed the best ones to develop it.
It is a pretty complicated, like the things which you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like the our conversation logically leads to universities, which we started talking about.
Mhm.
Like let's talk about like your university. Like you studied the bachelor's in computer science,
Yes.
computer engineering
Mhm.
in Bilkent University,
Yes, we can.
and you also did your MBA at the
Yes.
same university,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So tell me about your university specifically, like the technical universities. How was your education there? Like, do you think that like the level of education in the university was par with any other university, top tech universities when we imagine, or do you think there was still something missing because it was like Bilkent University or?
Mm. Yeah, Bilkent is the first private university in Turkey, but now I think they have. So in Turkey, actually entering the university is a little different from US. So
Okay.
there is a central exam. So for example, in here actually, your high school grades are very important, and but in Turkey it's not very important. So what you get in the central exam is more important.
Oh, okay.
So then it's a very challenging environment to enter the best ones. So everybody goes the same exam at the same day at the same time, and you actually prepare for it almost 3 years and other things. So it's a very challenging. So now the weekend computer science is the top.
Is the top computer science degree in Turkey, right?
Yeah, actually top in anything.
Oh, in anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and computer science is the most popular department in the country, and weekend is the most popular. Yeah, you need to be, I think, in the top 200 now or 300.
Oh, you mean in order to get accepted into computer science degree in Bill Kent, you have to be top 200 in the country.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So even if you want to pay it, you need still want to be in the 500.
Oh, so even if you're ready to pay all full tuition,
Yeah.
you have to be on top 500. If you want a full tuition covered by the university, you have to be top 200.
Maybe now I think it's in the top 100 maybe because they only take 50 people.
That is crazy. Oh, wow. They take 50 people each year. Oh, wow. This is crazy. And how many applicants each year? I think about like the numbers are in millions, right? Every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you have to be top 200. That's tough. Okay. Tell me about your like the MBA years. Like why did you decide to do an MBA? Did you know from the get-go that you're not gonna work for anyone and you're gonna build your company and you needed that experience or what?
Yeah, so for example, I went to MBA so after 14 years after the undergrad.
Oh, that was a pretty late stage. Okay.
Yeah, so I had already managing my second startup.
Mm.
And I was facing many management difficulties. And also actually I was talking to some my other friends. They were actually not founders, but they were just managers in very big companies. So we were discussing about some management things with them, and so they advised me to make an MBA because what I am facing is already on the literature, and they are mostly actually case studies in MBA, and they just advised me that I should just get many benefit from an MBA program.
Okay.
And actually it really helped me. So, and what I was attended was not a regular MBA program, it's mostly an executive MBA program. So they were only accepting people who are already managers in their professional lives and already have some experience in other things. So, and I also thought that, okay, it will be a good opportunity to meet other people from other industries, because most of the program was developed like discussions in the lectures. So we were actually reading case studies and discussing, so mostly, and I was learning many perspectives, and also I was learning all the management basics and other things in the company. So it was very useful, but MBA is like an open buffet according to me. So there are lots of things they are trying to teach you, but it's on the buffet, so you need to pick. It's also about how you can consume, and it also depends how much experience you had in the previous. So if you had faced many problems and other things, so it makes more sense to you, all the case studies and other things. And also you understand that, okay, in the world they are solving these problems or approaching these problems with this, because it's not like a computer science. So in computer science they teach you and you learn it, so then you practice. But in here actually there is no correct solution for all the management things, unless it is some accounting type of things. But you just try to understand the perspective of the case studies and then you just actually digest according to your knowledge, problem, and environment. So it really depends on you how you can benefit from an MBA program. But the other thing that people are asking me, that did it help to your entrepreneur journey? Actually, MBA is not about building companies. It's more like managing already built companies.
Okay.
It doesn't help you from 0 to 1, especially from the tactical perspective. Strategical perspective, it is always the same. So even in MBA, they just tell you about focusing and prioritizing things and understanding your weaknesses and strengths, and so those kind of things. So if you just map those things into your startup journey, it works. But from the tactical perspective, it is mostly like from 1 to 1,000 type of company. So it doesn't usually work from 0 to 1. So it's a very different mindset.
Okay. This is so great. And like 2 years after that, after your MBA, you went through YCombinator, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me about the YC experience and like how that affected your journey as a founder?
I think the biggest value that YC is giving to other founders is the community.
Mm-hmm.
So actually what you learn most is from other founders, is the most crucial
Okay.
part of YC. So they have very great partners. They are also former founders,
Mm-hmm.
but they also have lots of videos on the YouTube. So if you want to learn from partners, so you can just watch those videos. By the way, you can ask your specific questions to partners and they can just help you. So it is also a value for YC is offering. But the real value is, I think, and you actually see the other founders.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn from them, because everybody's trying different things and there are so many companies in the batch. It's actually easier way of learning from other people's experiences, and because they already tested many things and other things. And the other thing that YC community is, they help each other too much. So
Like you mean too much on the point that it's
maybe very much.
oh yeah.
Okay, so for example, many successful YC company, actually their first customers are their batchmates.
Okay. Like Brex, like
like the Breaks, like the Stripe, like the Retool. So there are many examples of them. So people want to help each other
mm-hmm.
in the batch, because everybody is suffering from the same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to gain traction.
Yep.
And so everybody is just buying their products, and or just registering and using it, or some give feedback. So there's a culture about that. So everybody is trying to help each other. And since I am still in the YC community, in many there, for example, they have a internal forum, community, WhatsApp groups, and Slack channels and other things. So whenever people just ask for a question for a product or some solution, and most of the answer is like this: okay, you can use this one, it is also a YC company.
Yeah.
So it's a very big advantage.
Yep.
For YC companies, so you can get your early traction, you can also grow with other YC companies as well, and so you make very good friends, and most of those friends become unicorns. So it's a very good opportunity to enter the YC. And the other thing is that they have a very good brand, because they have a very good success history.
Yep.
And so it also helps you to raise easier.
Thank you so much for this. If we move towards wrapping up things, if you are in a room with leading VCs, investors, the partners at YCombinator or whatever, what would you tell? How would you convince them to look more at Turkish founders and to look at the region, the country, and the founders coming out of the region? Can you summarize some value points why they should be paying attention to the region, to the country?
I think Turkey has a very entrepreneurial culture. Even there was no funding, there were many companies were being built by the founders. So I think the biggest strength of Turkish founders is that they are very determined.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for example, in here, if for example, if the company is not going very well, the founders just give up and start a new one. For example, in our culture, we don't do like that. So yeah, we just go to the end of it.
No quizzes.
Yeah, we try to make it very success. And also, for example, I feel very responsible the money I took. But here, many founders they don't actually care about the money they took. Actually, I spend company's money more carefully than my own personal money. In here, so people just spend the money relentlessly. So I think the Turkish founders just make more thing with less money, and I think it is or with less resources. For example, I think the Peak games, when they just were sold to Zynga, they had only raised 1 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was a very, or maybe 2 million. I don't remember, but it was a very low money. So I think, and the Crunchbase was just put to the note. They say, okay, they only raised 2 million, but it is only the Crunchbase data. So they were not sure about that. Okay, they just didn't find it very.
But that was in fact like what they've raised. They were like they raised very little money.
That was a true story. So they actually literally didn't raise too much money.
Yeah, when they like when they tell you the story of like the startups who reached the valuations that they are now, like the unicorns or decacorns, they usually give examples of like MailChimp or the companies like the some other companies who never raised venture financing. But we see there are great companies from Turkey, from our region, who like haven't raised any money, mostly not because they couldn't raise, but like there isn't many like financing opportunities available, and they are more responsible towards the money they raise, right? So they want to make the little money they've raised to last as long as possible, and the game of like default alive and profitability first was from the beginning of the game, right? And it's not changing much, right?
Yeah, and also I think we have more survival instincts. Because also coming to US is not very easy for most of the founders because their first job is to hack the life.
Yeah.
Then they try to hack the business and customers. So that's why I think it will be a good opportunity for investors to invest. For immigrants. Also, the data I think shows that immigrants are more successful.
Yeah, obviously. If you could give advice to young founders about like Turkish founders, so any other founder, what would that be? Especially regarding like the times which we live in now, investors are paying more attention to profitability, to like making runways longer and being efficient with the VC money they're entrusted with. What advices would you give to founders?
There will be many advices, but I want to give a specific one. For me, I couldn't understand how big the US market is. So, for example, in here, everybody is just talking about the focus. But, for example, in smaller countries, such as in our Turkey. Turkey is not a very small country, but with respect to US market, it's actually very small. We can just say it very small one. So if in Turkey we couldn't focus on a very small vertical, because if we just focus on a very small vertical, so then it's a very small market.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't make sense to make a business for a very small vertical. So we usually go bigger.
Yep.
And so then it also makes us to build a bigger product, more sophisticated product and other things. But in here, US, even the smallest vertical is very big.
Yep.
Shifting that mindset is very hard.
Yeah.
Because in here, there are also many startups. So you need to understand that, okay, we should focus, and that niche is already big, and it is the only way to become successful in this market. I think this mindset shifting is becoming very hard. Most of the Turkish founders and other founders from our region, even though when we are talking about that, saying about that, they are reading about that, they don't get it.
Yeah.
Very well. I just advise that they need to just look at and think about it very deeply, and if they want to play in the US market, they should really understand this perspective.
All right. This was really great. It's been a pleasure to have you here and talk to you. Hopefully, we wish you great luck with whatever new venture or current ventures you're working on. And we wish great success for all the founders who are trying to make it to US startup game. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving this opportunity to tell my story and have this great inspiration for the founders from our region.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for the grooving, while every day in my life I wanna see your light.